In less than 24 hours, 18,000 runners will take to the streets of Pietermaritzburg for the 96th edition of the Comrades Marathon. The 2023 race is a down run, starting at the Pietermaritzburg City Hall and ending at Kingsmead Cricket Stadium in Durban. Steyn and Tetejana are tipped as the favourites to win the women's and men's races. Meanwhile, 200 of the 18,000 runners are members of the South African Police Service. SAP's National Commissioner, Fanima Simula, was at the Durban Central Police Station to wish his officers well. And eNCA sports reporter Siphokazi Malinga was at the Commissioner's briefing this morning, joins us now to share what was said. Siphokazi, good morning to you. I mean, you were listening to Fanima Simula, of course, just, he's been talking a lot about how, he's hot on the heels of AKA's killer, but then, of course, he shifted his focus today to just essentially wish well his officers who are going to be taking part in the Comrades Marathon. I mean, I would imagine one of the other things that he would have touched on is the security of the Comrades Marathon itself. Just what did the Commissioner say?
A very good morning to you, Morena. Yes, so we were at Durban Central at the police station where the National Commissioner was speaking to the 200 participants that will be taking part in the 96th edition of the Comrades Marathon, basically just giving them encouragement and encouraging the fact that police officers should be fit. They should always represent the SAPS with dignity, with pride, and do the best that they can at this Comrades Marathon. He even joked by saying they can even be excused at some of their duties if they take up running. And of course, they will be now creating camps for these police officers to go to if they work hard. And he even joked by saying that he hopes to see one of them in the top 20 as well. So really, it was just words of encouragement and thanking them for taking part in such a huge race like the Comrades Marathon, a race that is loved all over the world, a race that attracts thousands of participants all over the world.
Now, Siphokazi, of course, you mentioned how the police commissioner was talking about our law enforcement officials need to be fit, right? And what better way to test your fitness if not to take part in the ultra marathon, the longest marathon in the world. But one of the major warnings that have come from the organizers of the Comrades has been you need to take care of yourself. You need to be aware of your body and you need to respond well to your body, because we've come to see over the years that people have lost their lives at the Comrades. What has been the word from those that are looking after the runners medically?
100%, Morena. Over the years, we've seen athletes collapse. We've seen even them leading to death at some point. So it is a huge concern, and it is something to worry about, which is why I have the race doctor here, Dr. Jeremy Butler, who will just shed a little bit more light. We're going to ask him, what do athletes need to do before and after and during the race to make sure that they are safe and that they don't compromise their health? Dr. Jeremy Butler, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me this morning. So we've seen athletes collapse, we've seen them dying sometimes, in some instances rather. What do they need to do before they take on the marathon like this?
They need to make sure that they are adequately trained and prepared. You can't run a race like the Comrades Marathon just on a whim and a few weeks of training. So that is the first priority. Pre-race, they should not run if they've been sick, certainly within the previous 2 weeks. Anything like an influenza with fevers, body aches and pains, they shouldn't run. If they're on any needing medication such as antibiotics in the 2 weeks prior to the race, they shouldn't run. On race day, they need to make sure that they are adequately hydrated. The quantity varies from runner to runner, but they need to make sure that they are taking in enough fluid and also food. You can't run on an empty tank. You need the fuel inside you, and you need to start drinking early enough and taking food early enough. Don't wait until you are absolutely desperate for it. By then it's too late. And then being aware of their condition, being aware of how they feel on the race. You are going to get sore. You can't run 87 kilometers without getting sore and aching joints. But take your medication, as far as I'm concerned, is a no-no. As I always say, I know athletes will take medication. I know they will take painkillers and anti-inflammatories. A small quantity is not going to make any significant difference. It will help ease the pain for a short while. It's when runners take repeated medications that it has an effect on their bodies, and it can lead to serious medical problems.
For instance, if a runner is running during the Comrades Marathon and they get a headache or they feel some sort of symptom, what should they do then? What break should they take?
Well, if they're concerned, that we have 8 first aid medical stations along the route, adjacent to the 8 physio stations. They are manned by eNCA medical personnel. They can always stop there and get checked over, a basic check. We have ambulances on the route, we have advanced life support paramedics on the route. They can always stop and ask them to just check their basic vital signs and give them some advice. If they're still not sure, if they're worried, rather pull out. I know it's difficult. You put in all the hours of training, all the effort, the effect on your life. To have to give up, it's not a sign of failure. I call it a sign of being clever and smart. Comrades is going to be around for another 100 years. No use you not being around for another year.
And the first thing they should do after the race?
After the race, celebrate, relax, make sure that they are going to need some fluid and some food inside them. Small amounts frequently. Don't try and drink 2 liters of fluid immediately. You'll almost certainly vomit it up. Be aware that you are very likely going to feel lightheaded and dizzy if you sit down after the race and then stand up. That is because your blood pressure drops. You no longer have that muscle pump working in the legs. So that is a normal symptom. If you feel dizzy, lie down. If they are in need of medical attention, we have a medical tent here with a large number of staff in it. As you can see behind me, we've got 140 beds ready and waiting for our patients. We are here if needed.
Thank you so much for your time. Well, Morena, that was Dr. Jeremy Butler, who was just shedding a bit of more light about what athletes need to do. For instance, if they are feeling or concerned about their health during the race, they need to take a break, sit down. There are medical teams everywhere, and also he's also warned against taking tablets. And if you are feeling some sort of sickness before the race, do not participate in the race.
Well, Siphokazi, an important line coming from Dr. Jeremy Butler there. The Comrades Marathon has been around for 96 years. It'll be around for another 100. There's no need for you to take part in it, only for you to not be around in the next year. Those are important words coming from the doctor there. Siphokazi, we'll leave it there with you for this morning. Thank you very much. Of course, that